Given the seriousness of the issue, I'll try to be as straightforward as possible. For a while now, there's been accusations that Doomcock/Overlord is the Kommandant. In other words, that he has these two personas online. We have the Overlord persona, where he's very clear he doesn't like Disney, he doesn't like liberalism in a lot of cases, he doesn't like political correctness, etc., etc. But he also may have this much more outright fascist persona, the Kommandant. So we're just going to list very carefully the parallels and points, and then we're going to provide evidence for them, and then I'll leave it up to the viewer to judge whether it's sufficient evidence to say that these people are the same person, and we'll just recap the points at the end of the video. Here are the points. One is that they have similar body types, and that Doomcock is actually kind of a small guy, and perhaps by the framing of the camera, he looks a lot bigger. Also, the Kommandant and Overlord have similar voices, so that's very interesting. They also have similar graphics and production style in terms of how they use the camera, in terms of how they use hand movements, and so on and so forth. They also have a very similar framing of a binary of us against them, though with obviously Kommandant, it's much more explicitly fascist. There's also the timeline that both of them came out in 2017. It is true Overlord came out earlier, so the Kommandant could be a copycat, but again, according to Overlord, he didn't make his first video until late 2017. So again, it could be the same person. Another is that they use the kind of hook of transmission, at least early on. They both call what they're doing transmissions, sort of breaking through being jammed by the mass media. They also did a very weird and coincidental homage to Stanley Lee, who died a few years ago, and they even used the same language, which was very telling. And then they have the same, of course, agenda in terms of being against feminism, against being woke, against liberals, etc., etc. There's also the case that Overlord brags that he can do different accents. So even if the voice is slightly different, that's explained by himself that he can do an accent in different ways. And finally, there's the car video with Jeremy, where if you look carefully at his body and how it lines with his costume, it could fit both people. So we're going to hear Melvin, as well as another YouTuber, again, reinforce the evidence and try to provide their own more added details in terms of why Overlord is probably Kommandant.
Their bodies are the same size. Check this out, I dropped the opacity on Doomcock and put him over Kommandant. It fits like a glove. This is the same person, different costume. Their graphics are also similar. Take a look at this. They're both pulsating. Another similarity, Kommandant refers to his videos as transmissions.
Aryans and honorary Aryans. Tonight's transmission is a twofold story that
Doomcock used to say transmissions as well.
Commencing transmission. Engaging scramblers. Proxy chain initialized.
Coincidence? I think not. Now you might be thinking, well, Doomcock is really popular, Kommandant is just a copycat. Let me debunk that. Doomcock started his channel on February 9th, 2017. Kommandant started his channel on May 8th, 2017. Doomcock, however, did not upload for the first time until October 13th, 2017. This was confirmed by a recent tweet celebrating his third year on YouTube. Kommandant's first video isn't available on YouTube, but I believe the first video he ever uploaded is the first video on his BitChute channel. On this video, he said that the first transmission was received November 11th, 2017. So Doomcock's first upload was October 13th, 2017. He did not have another upload until November 21st, 10 days after Kommandant's first video. So at one point in time, we had one video from Doomcock, one video from Kommandant. That was it. So there's no way this is a copycat YouTuber. He saw one video of Doomcock and he's like, oh man, I just gotta copy this guy. There's just no way. Going further, I really analyzed Doomcock and Kommandant's voice. If you listen closely, you might need headphones. Doomcock frequently smacks his lips before talking. Here are some examples.
Well, just a couple of hours ago, I received some information that sheds new light on these rumors and reveals the fate of Pedro Pascal in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I have to take a few extra minutes and watch this video clear to the end. You'll be glad you did. Which, as you can imagine, would be a bit of a problem. Well, at the time these rumors came out, I had heard nothing about them. You guys were asking me for my comments, and I had none. Initially, when I asked my sources about this rumor, they ran into dead ends. They felt that this was some kind of publicity stunt to beat the bushes and see if they could drum up anything to confirm or deny what Grace Randolph reported. And they have, as well as some new information I find rather alarming. Please.
So when I heard this and it was pretty repetitive, I got excited because I knew if Kommandant is Doomcock, Kommandant is going to also speak the same way. He's not going to record his voice any different. Sure enough, Kommandant does the exact same thing. Smacks his lips before he talks. Here are some examples.
Order is restored. By right of ascension through victory, I hereby assume the mantle and responsibility of Commandant of Base 211. And we will need every able-bodied Aryan to finally cauterize this infection. Which brings me to the significance of this day. As you know,
So we got two channels, similar characters, similar voices, created at the same time, and they both smack their lips before they talk. This is because they are the same person.
These videos were taken at around the same time. So yeah, maybe there's a bit of weight gain or something, I don't know. But if you look here, like this is the same person. Look, this is the same person here, 100%. Like Doomcock in the video, Doomcock in the car. 100% these are the same people, okay? So you can see that Doomcock looks a bit bigger in this picture because the camera angle is different and he's got a different outfit on, right? Do you see what I mean? So I know people are saying, oh, the Nazi looks a bit fatter. Well, yeah, but look at this. This is definitely Doomcock, and he looks fatter here as well. Right? Do you see the point I'm trying to make? Watch. You see? You see that? Look at the way that there's an effect where it's sort of like, look, you see that? It's like a very similar effect on those two icons. There we go.
Chili's fine. Southeastern Kaiju bows to Shin Godzilla, and I bow in turn to Kit Kat. Hail!
So as we can see, Overlord does seem to be aware of these charges because he had to censor one of the subscribers to Melvin when he was asked straight out, "Are you the Kommandant?" He tried to get rid of the message. So he seems to be aware that this is out there. Now again, it could be the case, it's just coincidence that all these things, the voice, body, the car video, etc., it is a lot of coincidences, but it could still be two different people. It's a little strange he doesn't address the controversy because you would think just out of self-interest he wouldn't want somebody who is mimicking his style, right? Because it could be a stain on him, but he's never really addressed the controversy, but he seems to be aware of it. But there's also a final piece of evidence that I think both of them missed, which is in the car video. If you look closely, and I'm going to acknowledge Matt Jarbo, he picked up on this. If you look at his mask with Jeremy, there seems to be a K on it. Now, we can't tell for sure. It could be an X. It could be a K, but having studied all of these extremist groups, they often have a very esoteric or inside language. So the K could be a kind of like in joke that, right, KKK, or even if it's X, a kind of joke to how extreme the person is, etc., etc. Again, these groups often do have their own internal language where they present two faces to the public. They're sort of like their public persona and what they're really thinking. But again, we can't tell. So it's very, very hard to tell. Again, these could all be coincidences. It could all be, that's it. Correlation is not causation. On the other hand, given the timeline, there's at least some plausible case that Overlord is, or at least knows about the Commandant. Now, whether they're related to one another, brothers or cousins, or they just know of each other and are helping each other out, that's still unclear, but he's never clarified the controversy, but he is aware of it. So you'll have to judge for yourself whether the Overlord does have this second persona and is basically kind of tricking people with this much more friendly, again, relatively speaking, friendly persona in public, which is much more popular and clearly more lucrative, and is much more extreme persona. But all I've done is present the evidence. You'll have to decide for yourself. Alright, this has been a video essay on the Overlord's possible dual identity. Thank you for listening.